Be with the times.
Good day everyone, my name is Navneet Anand from Fiji Times, India Times, Australia. Today we would be talking to one and only one, Harish Prasad, from Harish Prasad and Associates, Solicitors and Lawyers in Parramatta. He completed his bachelor's in law in 1988 in New South Wales itself, and then established the office in North Parramatta, where he is still there. Harishi, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Navneet, for having me.
Today, rather than talking about you, we would be talking about an individual to whom you always looked up to, late Justice Kishore Govind. Let's talk about his life and his journey with your views on that.
More than happy to do that, Navneet.
I was going through the Facebook the other day, and I could see a post from you full of emotions. You hardly write on Facebook. When I saw that, I said, this must have been very, very important. Went through it, found it that you were talking about a true gem of Fiji. I think Mr. Kishore Govind was the one you talked about. Tell us more about it.
Well, when I heard of his passing, which was only very recent, 1 or 2 weeks ago, I was very, very upset, and I think I was quite emotional when I posted that. So I'm pleased that you picked on it, because I felt that the media out in Australia should be aware of this person and the legacy that he leaves behind. So that's why I posted that, and I'm so pleased that you amongst everyone picked that up and then contacted me.
That was unavoidable to miss that particular post. Talking about your first memory when you met him for the first time.
Well, I've known Kishore Govind from the time I was a child, a teenager.
Okay.
We both come from a place called Ba, which is a major township in Fiji. As a child, my father owned a movie theater, a cinema, and Kishore Govind was the local mayor, and the two buildings were next to each other. So the first impression I have of him as a lawyer, it probably had something to do with me becoming a lawyer, because I can remember seeing this person walking past with a tie on. A place like Ba, that there weren't that many people wearing ties at the time. So that's the first impression I had of him, and of course, throughout my life I have crossed paths with him. And in recent times, last couple of years, I've had a lot to do with him. In fact, I spoke to him only weeks before his passing.
Okay.
So we stayed in regular contact, and I'm pleased to say that he referred people to me. He trusted me enough to even do his own work if there was any legal work to be done. So apart from a mentor, I believe that he was someone very close to me.
Talking about the first spark of you becoming a lawyer was Justice Govind to start with.
Absolutely. I have no doubt that he was the first person that probably drove me into thinking that I could become a lawyer as well. So that's the role he's played in my life. Yes.
What an inspiration for him to be giving a gem like you to Sydney. You have had many interactions with him, as I understand. Tell us more and more about it.
Well, look, I'll just run through, and the reason why I refer to him, I think I said that in my post as an iconic person, is, look, we of an Indian background from Fiji. He would have been pretty much the second generation of Indian that grew up in Fiji, and grew to great prominence, not just in Fiji but overseas as well. He played a vital role in the politics in Fiji, achieved a lot of things. So I'll start off just summarizing what he's done. So the first memory, as I said, was him being a mayor of Ba Town. I think that was in the 70s. He entered Parliament. He was a parliamentarian, played a vital role in some legislation that were going through at the time, and then he became a judge. Now, we call him the true son of Ba because he was so prominent in the Ba area, and especially as a lawyer, that everyone liked him. He was a people's man. If you're going to compare him with someone, say, in Australia, then from my knowledge of him and dealings of him, I would describe him as the Bob Hawke of Fiji, because he was liked by everyone. He was jovial, he could connect at every level, he was extremely witty, and a great speaker, public speaker, functions, weddings. If Kishore Govind was there, people would ask him to speak. So that's how prominent he was. The main time that I'd like to talk about is when he was a judge. So 1980s he became a judge, and we all know that in 1987 we had the first military coup. Now, as a judge, he spoke out against the regime. He spoke about the rule of law, that the judiciary were not going to be intimidated by the government of the day. And as a result, he found himself in prison. He was actually in prison for his views. So you can almost now compare him to someone like Mahatma Gandhi. I mean, he was there for a short time, but I think that broke his heart, and that's when he had decided to go to Australia. So from 1987, he was in Australia, except for a stint, I think in the early 2000s, when he went back to Fiji as a judge again. So he was invited back sometime later on when there was another government in Fiji. And when he went back as a judge of the High Court, lawyers that I know from Fiji, I still have contact with, speak highly of the way he dealt with matters, especially criminal type cases where he would give prisoners or defendants or accused a second chance. So he was sentencing people in a way that they would be sentenced in Australia, because he had learned a lot while he was here. Now, I've omitted to tell you that while he was here, he rose to a very, very prominent position in the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. He
Here
was
in Australia?
In New South Wales. And in fact, he spent quite a few years in Liverpool as a public prosecutor. Now, that in itself is a fairly high achievement. Rightly, he should have probably gone on to higher things, maybe even a judge. Now, I know that he had many, many connections. I went to his 80th birthday party some years ago, and I was blown away by the caliber of the professionals that were there, judges, very high-ranking lawyers, and that told you something about the effect he had on people. He just loved people, he loved to socialize, and was very, very strong in the area of human rights. And another thing that he had done was part of an organization called Lawasia.
Okay.
Now, Lawasia is a fairly major legal body that involves lawyers from all of the Pacific and the Asian region. And he rose to the rank of a vice president of Lawasia. And I think he headed a human rights commission, a human rights committee as well. So as far as I can tell, he rose to the highest ranks and had great friends amongst Lawasia, judges from other countries. In fact, twice I remember that he introduced me to a judge of Delhi High Court. His name was Sangha, surname I remember. And from what I'd heard, he was very, very prominent judge in Fiji. So obviously he had friends of that caliber, even right to the end. And that's only a snapshot of what Kishore Govind was about and what he achieved in his life.
Well, as I understand from your talks, I think what he earned more in life was that he earned a lot of people, a lot of friends, a lot of supporters in life. And you said he was an iconic personality. What is the key point that you made, that you were made to think of that?
When you look at politicians, get into an area of their lives and they remain politicians. Kishore Govind was an all-rounder. He connected with people at every level. That's why I compared him to Bob Hawke. Great wit. He loved to tell stories. And as I said, quite often when you'd see him speaking at a wedding, you could tell that he didn't care about how people perceived him. He always spoke his mind, and of course, it got him into some trouble during the coups, but he was never scared. He was a person of very small stature. He wasn't a big person, but very outspoken and really a champion of common people. As a lawyer, from the stories I've read, He represented people for no fee. We call it pro bono.
Okay.
And in his day, I think would have been quite rare for a private lawyer to be doing work without being paid. But from what I've heard, he did that on a regular basis.
What I heard is that he was writing a book. Were you involved in the book at all, and what was the book all about?
Well, because I spoke to him quite regularly, and especially recently, he often mentioned the book and that he was going to launch it. And a number of times I said to him, I'd love to be part of this. And I think he had initially planned to launch the book in March.
Okay.
Now, because of COVID, it all got delayed. And a number of times he said to me that he was waiting for his daughter to come from Dubai. His children are also lawyers. And I think, unfortunately, that never happened. The book that he wrote, and again, it showed his wit. I think it's called Politician, Judge, and Jailbird.
Okay.
So that
Politician, judge, and the jailbird.
Yes, so that describes the three things he experienced in life. But again, I think he put that tongue in cheek. He's just trying to be funny with the title. But I can't wait to read his book, and when it does come out, I'd recommend to everyone to read it, because this person certainly had a very, very interesting life, and someone that we should all look up to and remember. I think leaves a legacy that if you're a person from Fiji, you should always remember someone like Kishore Govind.
Look, on behalf of Fiji Times and India Times Australia, I commit myself and Varun Tiwari to be promoting the book and be the media partner as Friends World TV as well.
Thank you very much.
He passed away, I think, a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
When did you meet him the last?
I probably met him about 2 or 3 months ago, probably 2 months ago. Yes, and I spoke to him only weeks before he passed away. So,
how was his health looking the time when you met him?
Look, Mr. Govind never complained about health. He suffered from failing eyesight or vision towards the end, but he never lost his sense of humor. I can tell you a little story about that, because one of the times I went to see him, I think could have been last year, at his home, and his wife told him that Harish is here, and of course he couldn't see much unless you're very, very close. But true to his style, he said, "Yes, I can tell he's got a tie on." So that was his sense of humor, that although he couldn't see me, he just assumed that I'd be there with a tie on.
According to you, what legacy has he left behind?
I think his legacy is that he was of the generation that he came from. He was able to reach all types of people. Now, as a politician, as a lawyer, people tend to put themselves into little boxes. And that's why he went into so many different areas. Now, I haven't mentioned to you his role in Fiji soccer. He's one of the few politicians in Fiji who's had a stadium named after him. So where I come from, it's a place called Ba. It's known for the soccer.
Yes.
They're basically the Manchester United of Fiji. And the stadium is called Govind Park. So that tells you something about his role in soccer, and of course he headed Fiji soccer for some time as well. So that's what I'm saying. He's had a role in just about everything during the time that he was in Fiji, because he was highly regarded and very well liked. And because he didn't tolerate fools, you could trust him to do the right thing, and he'd never compromise his principles. That's the one thing I remember about him.
I have got so many points about the late Justice Kishore Govind, but I think there'll be much more to read in the book that will be coming soon. We look forward to it. You being very, very close to his heart, or probably him being so close to your heart as well, a tribute you would like to give it to him before we wrap up?
Well, firstly, my deepest sympathies to his family. I know that all his family are here. His children are lawyers. His sister is a very prominent prosecutor in New South Wales. The tribute I have is, if you're a person growing up in Fiji, younger generation, you must remember people like Kishore Govind. So when they pass away, they shouldn't be forgotten. They've had a major role to play in Fiji's politics, And the reason why we all here today, in some part, is because of people like him and what they were able to achieve for Indians, especially in Fiji.
Thank you so much, Mr. Prasad, for giving the insight of it. Bottom of my heart, once again, thank you so much.
My pleasure, Navneet.
आज हमने की हरीश प्रसाद से बातचीत और मैं आपका नवनीत।